Right, next, ladies and gentlemen, we have the most prestigious Slaus lecture here at this 25th anniversary annual academic sessions of Slaus. So, would like to call upon once more the president of the Sri Lanka Association of Urological Surgeons, Dr. Manjula Vijayawardena, to recite the citation. Introducing our lecturer, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Poncho Birowo.
Ladies and gentlemen, members of the head table, past presidents of SLAUS, members of SLAUS, may I present Professor Poncho Birowo for the prestigious SLAUS lecture. He has his education in urology specialty in University of Indonesia and obtained a PhD in urology from Hanover Medical School in Germany in 2009. He has held several positions in the Indonesian Urology Association and also currently serves as the President of Urological Association of Asia. He is a consultant in urology, endourology, andrology, and kidney transplant at University of Indonesia in Jakarta. Over to you, Professor Birowo.
Thank you very much, Dr. Manjula. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good evening. President of Sri Lanka Association of Urological Surgeons. This evening, I would like to present the SLAUS lecture. The title is Development of Telerobotic Surgery in Developing Countries, especially in Indonesia. This picture is the reason why I'm standing here tonight, because, like already said by Dr. Manjula, that 2006, my senior, Professor Reini Umbas, was invited here in Colombo also to give a SLAUS lecture after he's appointed as the President of Urological Association of Asia. After he served as the chairman of local congress organizer. I think we can see Dr. Manjula 18 years ago. Yeah. So if I'm wearing this special suit, Professor Umbas also have this suit 2006. Yeah. So this picture shows symbolize our commitment to collaboration and unity in urology across the region. I have no potential conflict of interest to disclose. This is the table of content. So back in 1900, there is a French artist, Jean-Marc Coté. He imagined that 100 years from now, from 1900, there will be a robot who cut our hair. He imagined also that people can have house and a mobile house. Yeah. 1900, there is no car, not yet maybe. There is no house can mobile. And so he also imagined that the student working in the class, wearing headphones, and the books will be put in the machine and will deliver to the brain of the students. Yeah. And he imagined also there will be a flying taxi. So Jean-Marc Coté has a vision what will happen 100 years from now. So we also have a vision that when we're starting the telerobotic. Yeah. While not all past predictions come true, they capture a hope for a future transformed by technology. Today, we carry that vision forward with the telerobotics in healthcare. The idea of telerobotics, like a movie in 1993, there is a movie called, the title is Cool Runnings. There are some young men in Jamaica who have a dream to join the Winter Olympic. You can imagine that in Jamaica there is no snow. Indonesia also have no snow, yeah? But they have dreamed to to make a Jamaican bobsled team. Yeah. If they want to train, they don't have snow, but they have a big dream. Yeah. Indonesia also have a big dream to have a telerobotic. Although in my country we only have 2 robots, one in 2012 and the new one is 2024. Yeah. So it's like dreaming in the daylight if we want to have a telerobotic surgery. But making the UR Congress, we cannot make something is ordinary. We have to make the extraordinary. So we dream to make a telerobotic at that time. So I would like to remind again the first telerobotic surgery in 2001 by Professor Jacques Marescaux from America to France, 14,000 kilometers. The bandwidth is only 10 megabyte per second. Yeah, they did the laparoscopic cholecystectomy in 68 years old. The operation is running well. And then after that, there are a global adoption of telerobotic surgery. There are countries have performed telerobotic surgery like USA, Europe, China, Canada, South Korea, Japan, India, Emirates. In our neighborhood is Singapore and Thailand. So there is a telerobotic from Japan to Singapore, but they are using the mannequin, not in the patient. Also from Japan to Thailand, not in the patient also, but in the pig. They're doing the laparoscopic cholecystectomy in 2007. So why telerobotic? Earlier this morning, Professor Rajiv already mentioned is it laparoscopic or robotics? There is a debate, what is the advantage of robotic and what is the advantage of telerobotics? So I would like to share something that by doing the telerobotic, we enable high quality surgical care in remote, in a challenging location, even in the space. And the surgeon doesn't have to travel. The surgeon or the patient doesn't have to travel. And it can provide high quality 3-dimensional imaging to multiply doctors simultaneously and enable real-time collaboration between the multiple surgeons. And also eliminating physiologic tremor, improving accuracy, minimizing injury to the healthy tissue. So in Indonesia, we are divided or we are united by water. Our country length is like from London to Moscow, very, very long. We have 17,508 islands. Not all islands is inhabited. And also we have the distribution of the skilled surgeon is uneven also. So patients in remote or underserved regions struggle to access specialized care. Sometimes they have to fly 6 hours to get to go to Jakarta to get the good service of health. Moreover, most of the urologists stay in Java Island. Java Island is not too big. You can see it in Papua, there is no urologist. In another island also, very limited number of urologists. So if the patient have the cancer of prostate, cancer of kidney, they have to travel to Jakarta. So the potential benefit of telerobotic surgery in Indonesia enable expert surgeon to perform remotely, more efficient way to transfer of knowledge, and offers timely treatment while reducing the need patient to travel. As I said before, the patient sometimes have to travel 3 hours or even 6 hours to get a special treatment in Jakarta. If they have to take boat, maybe days they have to go to the Jakarta. So after we dream, is it possible or not? We make finally 2 telerobotic surgeries in Indonesia. One is from Jakarta to Bali, 1,200 kilometers, also separated by sea. And then the shorter distance is from Denpasar, Bali to Nusa Dua, where the Congress was held. So the first telerobotic is quite high, but the case is very simple, only cyst. Yeah. The second telerobotics, the case is quite challenging, radical prostatectomy, but the distance is not too far. Yeah. So the important components to do the telerobotic surgery is robotic surgical system, networks connection, and also interdisciplinary collaboration. This is the robotic surgical system that we use. We borrowed the machine. We didn't even buy it at the time. We borrowed from the company from China. They lend the machine to do the robotic surgery. So I didn't know that to do the telerobotic, we need a very, very good network connection. And I just know also that if we want to have more than 100 megabyte per second, remember the first telerobotics only 10 megabyte per second. At this time, the company required more than 100 megabyte per second. What's happened if we have to more than 100? We have to close another network connection, only point to point. Yeah. And then the latency time is less than 25 milliseconds, and the jitter less than 0.5 milliseconds, and the packet loss less than 1.10%. What is the latency? Latency is like if I have to make command, the robot will obey my command, should be less than 25 milliseconds. 1 second, there will be a delay. If there is a bleeding in our patient and the delay is more than 25 milliseconds, it will be danger to the patient. And the jitter is like if we are take a car in the bumpy road. So the picture is not smoothly delivered to us. And the package loss, if we can see this monitor, there is a lot of dots actually. If there is a package loss and there is a missing dot, and then we cannot see clearly. If there is a bleeding, we didn't know where is the bleeding point. So there is a very strict requirement to do the telerobotic. This is what we have to do, take the new cable for the point-to-point connection. This is what we are doing. There is a master control where the surgeon working in Bali, and the patient, the robot, the patient console is in Jakarta. This is the first case. This is the only for the keys. The cyst is quite big, yeah, but it's according the robotic surgeon is a very simple case. Yeah. So you can see this is the latency time. We can achieve less than 25, not than 20 milliseconds. Yeah, this is 1,200 kilometers. Yeah. And it's from the cable and also connected to the patient. So the largest cyst was punctured. There are 700 cc. So the operator is in Bali, the patient in Jakarta. So there is a backup team also in Jakarta. If there is something happening with the connection, there will be a backup surgeon also to take over the work of the robot. So there are some problems during the telerobotics. Yeah. The second case is radical prostatectomy. It's quite challenging. So you can see that the surgeon is working in the normal room like this, and the patient is in the operating theater. So we can see if the distance is only 20 kilometers, we can achieve 2 milliseconds. If 1,200, 19 until 20 milliseconds, but in only 20 kilometers, we can achieve the latency time is 2 milliseconds. Yeah. So factor contributing to the success of telerobotics is teamwork and communication, surgical robot, internet connection, and also the training expert. So before we do the operation in the telerobotic, we send 5 doctors to Shenzhen to train using the robot. The challenges is we have no tactile feedback, language barrier. So the machine came from China, and the engineer from China have a limited capability to speak in English. So we give a translator on that. So there is also audio discrepancy and high cost. I didn't know at the beginning that it's very, very expensive to do the telerobotic here. Yeah. But fortunately, because we are embedded in the UAE Congress, we get support also from the UAE. This is the picture, the translator, and also for the engineers from the China. So, looking ahead, we hope another department can also use not only urology. We can promote the robotic training, and also the important thing is the advocate for the insurance coverage. The questions from the insurance: why robotic, not laparoscopic? Yeah, we have to give data that robotic there's a benefit. Yeah. Also proctorship and mentorship, and also we can reduce the medical tourism. A lot of Indonesian patients go abroad for the robotic. At least $6.9 billion per year. The money goes out from Indonesia because we only have 2 robots. I hope after that our government will buy robots for us. So you can see in Malaysia, our neighborhood, 35 million have 15 robots. Thailand, 10 robots. Singapore, only 5 million population, but have 9. Indonesia only have 2. I wrote down 3, but this month the robot will be back to China. So we only have 2 robots for 283 million population. So after we do the telerobotics, I became some kind of the superstar in Indonesia because a lot of media asking about this. So what I want to share the last maybe 10 or 20 minutes is if you have a dream, you can fulfill the dream if you want. Although my country only have 2 robots, we are, according to our notes, we are the first telerobotic inpatient in Southeast Asia. It's quite good for us, for our government also. Yeah. A lot of organization involved in the telerobotic surgery. Yeah. Lastly, I would like to invite you as the president of UAE to come to the UAE meeting next year in Taiwan. Once again, I would like to congratulate to the South, the president and the secretary for the successful meeting, nice organized meeting. We hope to see each other next year. Thank you very much.